And welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather. Starting things out today with the colorized magnetogram to see 3 sunspot groups, one of which is quite significant here in its magnetic complexity. It's this group right here. It's beta class. The likelihood of solar flares has gone way up as a result of that. So we've got 3 groups down here. They're in a triangle, and everybody knows to be frightened of triangles, right? Leave us a comment if you're frightened of triangles. So we closed out yesterday's video with this composite here. This is 335 plus 94 angstroms, which produces a lovely bluish green tone there. And let's take a look at those regions in close-up. There was one C-class intensification. Again, the most likely region to see major flares is from this sunspot group. We'll get you the numbers momentarily. I don't memorize names of sunspots. We've got some more wavelengths for you here. Here's 94 alone. One of the best wavelengths to observe solar flares is 94 angstroms. That SDO wavelength takes 10 images per minute, like 131 angstroms, which is seen here. So a bit of an uptick here in solar activity after, I think there were 2 zero sunspot days there, and now we're way off of zero sunspots. A precipitous uptick. The radio flux now up to 71. There is a North Pole current sheet headed our way. There was a major earthquake and lots more stuff to talk about on the video. There's the 1-year chart of the radio flux. It's the black line here. Here's the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard. A brief period of geomagnetic unrest forecasted by NOAA coming tomorrow here. Midday, a little after midday on the 15th. So there was a 7.6 magnitude earthquake downgraded to a 7.3, it looks like. And Smash Team members at smashomash.com/smashteam would have known about that beforehand. We sent out an email alert on that one. We report disasters, as there was a tsunami warning issued. Although I don't think any tsunami, I didn't hear anything else about tsunamis. If you noticed any in any sort of news reports, let us know in the comments. That's the location of that Indonesian earthquake. Again, a 7-point-something magnitude, downgraded to a 7.3 from a 7.6. And let's scroll up the list here and see what else has been shaken. Some deep quake activity at Tonga at a 4.5 magnitude and over 500 kilometers depth. A 5.4 near Easter Island in a very desolate portion of the South Pacific. So this quake came in at 3:20 this morning. It was pretty calm until that moment. And it was quite a long-lived quake. It looked like it lasted several minutes there. Initially reported as a 7.6 and a 7.2, I think. I don't know exactly how that works. But in any case, there was also a 5.5 at Chile, so a bit of an uptick here in general. Of course, some aftershocks at Indonesia. Let's hope that 7.3 wasn't a foreshock. There was also a 5.1 north of New Zealand there. White Island back on the list. Let's take a look at the rest of the volcano scenario. Mount Etna now exploding once again. It's produced a 20,000-foot plume of volcanic ash, so that's a pretty populated portion of the world. That's significant news. Mount Etna. A new phase of activity seems to have started a short time ago. Thank goodness for volcanodiscovery.com's Volcanoes Today page. We use it on the regs. There's some interesting activity there at Kilauea showing up as well. The Great Sitkin Volcano. There's a great photo from Alessandro Lopiccolo. So a flank eruption started at Etna. Strombolian activity, and so on. Let's continue on the list here. La Palma continues to erupt pretty consistently here as it explodes. It's producing an 8,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. Please don't fly your John Denver-style ultralight aircraft over the caldera at La Palma. We need the views on YouTube. Manam now back on the list. That's located in Papua New Guinea. An eruption may be imminent in the next 24 hours. All right. White Island showing a bit of ash and increased temperatures, which have reached 516 degrees Celsius around the summit vent area. Aviation code remains at yellow. Not a major eruption, but some indication that it could be fixing to erupt. Here's Kilauea. The The lava supply to the Halema Uma'u lava lake decreased significantly over the past 24 hours. So perhaps a little reduction of activity there at Kilauea. Pavlov, a new lava flow showing up at Pavlov, that's on the Alaskan Peninsula. Great Sitkin in the Aleutian Islands, extruding some new geographical terrain there. The Great Sitkin Island effusing some lava out of it. Santiaguito in Guatemala, now back on the list. Quite a volcanic uptick here since yesterday's daily space weather video. Active lava dome growing at Santiaguito, that's located in Guatemala. Also Fuego exploding in that same nation, producing a 15,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. Flight level 150. Nevado del Ruiz exploding. Flight level 210, that's in Colombia. 21,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. Sangay exploding. 20,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. Sabancaya intermittent emissions, that's located in Peru. Sangay is in Ecuador. Again, flight level 200 over Sangay. And we're unable to detect Nevados de Chilean. Please don't pole vault the caldera. And please do continue to strive to be free. Perhaps join the Galactic Special Forces. Thanks to everybody who's picked up merch. Shout out to Evan Clayson. Yes. Atmanhotep. Universum liberate is what I say to every one of you viewers. Do you yearn to be free? Do you wish everybody was free? To quote Geddy Lee of Rush, if I could wave my magic wand, I'd set everyone free. And so I say to you, the viewer, Universum liberate. The motto of the Galactic Special Forces. If earthly special forces aren't doing it, you may have to join the Galactic Special Forces. Links below the video. To that, as well as to the Smash team, here's a teaser. We're putting up all kinds of free posts throughout the remainder of the year. It's a holiday season closeout. Yes, give the gift of our posts by sharing links. Bitcoin has been hammered, but you'll have to head to the website to find out what else it says there. And welcome to the Neo Renaissance. You can find all these links at our homepage, smashomash.com, the SmAsho merch link, the Smash team link, etc. Free posts continue at the Smash team. We've replaced Patreon with something vastly superior, so support the channel via that. We make almost nothing to put up the videos. There's also a link to the forum on the homepage, smashomash.com/forum. We are alt-tech, and we realized that we needed to be alt-tech in 2018 because of the pathetic censorship on Facebook, which has only gotten worse and worse and more ridiculous and more pathetic in the last couple of years. Let's get back to space weather data. So here are the GOES magnetometers over the past 3 days. Fairly smooth here. There is a North Pole current sheet headed our way. Will it show up in the top view ecliptic plane field plot imagery? Not yet, but it's coming. There is a North Pole current sheet coming, folks. So Earth is currently in a South Pole current sheet. You can see here the current sheet is split in two at the moment. Only two current sheets at the moment being detected. You've got this South Pole one here shown in red, and this North Pole one here shown in green. Christmas colors for the current sheet. And here's the line of sight view. Again, 3 significant sunspot groups in the southeast. Here's your coronal hole plot, and we are seeing some trans-equatorial coronal holes here over in the eastern portion. Those South Pole-oriented coronal holes there now stretching a little bit over the equator as cycle 25 progresses rather slowly. We can expect a sudden increase in coronal hole activity. We've been calling for it for a couple of months. It's coming. Anyway, here's a great coronal hole view. It's 193 angstroms, one of the many ionized states of iron that are covered by the Solar Dynamics Observatory. It's a very specific band of the ultraviolet light spectrum. And here are these sunspot groups. The most significant one is sunspot 2907. It's got a lot of umbrae of opposite polarities. These other two, while they're beta class, they are not as complex as 2907. Also, you can see that they're in a triangle. So again, if you're frightened of shapes, now you've got something to be scared of. And for you new viewers out there, the sun is not going to kill you, and neither is the galactic core. Continuing on to the X-ray flux here, we did see one significant C-class flare there. That was at 8:20 this morning, a couple hours before we did show prep. Pardon the lateness of today's video. There was a good reason for it, which we will not discuss at the moment. So yeah, only 2 C-class flares there over the past 3 days, and you can expect some more significant flares. No proton spikes, no relativistic particles, no major flares have sent protons hurling at the Earth. Real-time solar wind looking pretty uneventful here over the past 24. We did see a recent shift in the phi angle, nothing to write home about. The current solar wind density, about 11 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed, only 310 kilometers per second. Enough to bring the KP index up to 1. It's a geomagnetic calm situation. The KP index, a measurement of global geomagnetism. And here's Earth's magnetic moment from space over the past 4 hours, modeled by the Space Weather Modeling Framework. It's a great time to take a sip of your Honduran organic coffee. Yowzers, that's good. And thanks to all of our viewers who have sent us things like coffee cheers. You caused us to buy a coffee grinder, which increased our capabilities. Anyway, that's 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space. Here's 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from the ground level. Ground magnetic perturbations. Geospace delta B. Changes to Earth's B field at the ground level. And you can see some magnetic pulses here coming out of Southeast Asia. The Indian Ocean. We'll let it play through here as we don't edit these videos to get them onto your screen as quickly as possible. We used to do them all live until a certain online video hosting organization decided to break their own software. Something that they do every couple of months, releasing software that barely functions. Anyway, that's 4 hours of data there, courtesy of University of Michigan Geospace Model V2.0. Next, a diagram of the solar system. We're going to give you a forecast. There's a full moon coming. Here's the 7-day forecast for the solar system. There's where things will be in a week. We'll have a gibbous waning on the 21st. Next, a star chart. If you're wondering what's going on above your head, as I often am, in-the-sky.org allows you to make your own star chart. This one is the all-sky chart. We've got Mars, the Sun, and Mercury rising on the ecliptic, or near the ecliptic when it comes to Mercury. The blue line there is the galactic plane. I would reiterate, Sagittarius A star, the core of the Milky Way galaxy, isn't going to kill you. Next, the coronal mass ejection watch continues here, and we've got some old data from Stereo A, so we're only going to look at Lagrange point 1 here, the location of the Soho-Lascaux C2 and C3 on the left and right, respectively. No coronal mass ejections, but they're coming, folks. They are coming. So we know better than to exhaust our coronal mass ejection watch before we see one, as we've only been incorrect one time and 0 false alarms over the past year. Yeah, we figured out how to forecast coronal mass ejections, and we've got to write a paper on it. I guess it's kind of important, wouldn't you say? Anyway, that's the view from the coronagraphs. Nothing going on there. Now it's time for another cosmology segment. Once again integrated into the daily space weather video. We do regular cosmology segments here at smAsho News Network, least busted name in news, so let's get to it. Today's random number is 666. Yes, if you're scared of numbers, 666 is a number you may be scared of. The 666th entry at the Neil Gehrels Swift-Bat X-ray Observatory is actually a pulsar, PSR J1732-31. It's very interesting as it's a very bright gamma ray source, located close to the galactic plane, not too far from the galactic core. And this one actually went into a bit of a hyperactive state here recently. As you can see there, a bit of an increase in the hard X-rays there on the daily graph. It's only the daily graph. There's the 30-day graph down in the lower left. You can see it's a rather an inconsistent X-ray source. And let's take a look at it visually. So here it is in gamma ray. And if you zoom out, you can see how bright the rest of the Milky Way galaxy is. And what a bright gamma ray source that pulsar indeed is. Now, if we look at the different bands, you'll find a very different scenario. Let's take a look at it in X-ray. And when we bring up the Chandra data, you can see there is an X-ray source there, as well as nearby. So there's a brighter X-ray source just to the south of that. We'll call it south. I don't know what orientation it actually is, but There is the X-ray imagery from Chandra. So you can see how bright that was in gamma. Let's take a look at this in visual. So here's the very busy region here on the DCAPS DR1 color imagery. Again, it's a very busy region there as it's quite close to the galactic plane. It is a gamma ray source. And let's take a look at some other frequencies here. Here is pan-stars. I know it shows up in bands I, R, and G. There you go. There's a close-up of pan-stars. This structure here probably is somehow associated. And in infrared, you can see again a very busy portion of the Milky Way galaxy there. Entry number 666 at the Neil Gehrels Swift-Bat X-ray Observatory is Pulsar J1732-31. And let's take a look at another object. It's HH666, a Herbig Haro object. Yeah, it's a theme today, folks. This Herbig Haro object is featured in astronomy in NASA's APOD, Astronomy Picture of the Day, apod.nasa.gov. The site for that. And this is infrared light from the 2MASS, and you can see there is an interesting star there. It's a very dusty star, and it's associated with all kinds of naughty behavior. Herbig Haro objects are very interesting because they're full of life and zest. Let's take a look at this one in color imagery. Here it is on the DSS. You can see there's a large filamentary nebular cloud associated with this Herbig Haro object. Herbig Haro objects are stars believed by many to be in their infancy. I'll just say it's in a very dusty region of space. How about some more wavelengths? And here's more optical bands from DCAPS DR1 color. Great view of this quite active nebular cloud region. You can even see some of the filamentary stuff here. You can see an empty spot there and a dust lane. An interesting object indeed. It's HH666. Yeah, that's our theme today. And not a lot of brightness here in X-ray frequencies. You can see there's the Chandra X-ray imagery. Not a signal there really at all. And we'll go back to visual to close out this segment. And here's the G-band of the DCAPS DR1 survey. And again, you can see some filaments and some swept out empty space there as well, associated with that Herbig Haro object, HH666. And you can see quite a lot of papers about this coming out since 2000. Here are the photometric points if you're wondering what parts of the electromagnetic spectrum this object is bright in. Herbig Haro object. And here's a composite image. This is the astronomy picture of the day. And we'll just zoom out. There you go. Makes a great desktop if you're into these kinds of interesting stars. Again, it's a very dusty area around this star. It's the astronomy picture of the day at apod.nasa.gov. HH666. We hope it didn't frighten you too much. Today's Cosmology segment. Make sure you check our playlists for more Cosmology segments. We've got over 200 videos about this. And I nearly majored in stellar cosmology. I just didn't. There really wasn't a major in the mid-90s about stellar cosmology. And so I had to go into professional sports. Again, check all of our playlists at youtube.com/smashamash/playlists. Next, looking at charging hazards on electron flux and things of this nature. We don't see any charging hazards at the moment. Here's the one-year chart of the electron flux, and we're seeing pretty low levels here. As we may be fixing to see an intensification of the solar wind as a result of coronal hole wind, we've just seen an ongoing low-speed solar wind with a bit of a small uptick in the density. So this has been cratering the electron flux. You can see these low levels of electron flux here following low levels of solar activity in general. What's the relationship? Well, we're interested. Do you know anything about that? Let's hit us up in the comments if you've got theories or hypotheses. Here's the forecast model for relativistic electrons. You can see a continued dip expected here. Looks like what you'd expect from a coronal hole wind stream. We'll keep an eye on it. And when I say ion, pardon the pun. Next, a diagram of the Earth's Van Allen belts. Here's the electron content of essentially the inner Van Allen belt. The total electron content forecast shows you the most likely places on Earth for GPS errors. And we are seeing some chaos here in places like the Indian Ocean, as well as Antarctica around the Southern Ocean there. It's a typical feature of low level of electron flux. We see them less organized and causing more GPS errors in unexpected locations. Next, the F ionosphere layer. We're going to show you the F ionosphere ionogram and anomaly map. Here's the F ionosphere ionogram. It shows vibrational frequency in megahertz, millions of vibrations per second. There's a lot of shaking going on above your head, especially around the equator at noon. And this layer is located at about 300 kilometers of altitude. By the way, check out Tamitha Scove's video from the weekend, a 4-hour mini class about the inner workings of the ionosphere. Quite interesting if you're into this stuff. Shout out to Tamitha. We'll be bringing her on the channel soon for a little interview, as I'll get to pick her brain about some stuff and maybe talk about some cutting-edge cosmology subjects as well. Here's the ionosphere anomaly map, and I would note this area down here, one of the weirdest places on Earth in my opinion. The Drake Passage is a spot where the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean try to reach static equilibrium. So when you have a massive pressure gradient, for example, in one versus the other, all of that water needs to slosh through this small little area of the planet. And it's pretty much the most violent seas in the world there, the Drake Passage, one of the craziest places on the planet. The equalization point between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. We're seeing a lot of anomalies there. This is the anomaly gram in megahertz from the 30-day median. Here's the latest image, 1345 universal time ionogram, 1345 universal time anomalygram, and let's do bonus features. And bonus feature number 1 is the El Teide, Spain, ground-based solar observatory. Coronal mass ejection watch remains in effect here, folks. Again, keep an eye on especially this sunspot over here. That's 2907, I think is the name of that one. Again, I don't memorize things that I can look up. Here's the NASA GOES 16 SUVI imagery. This is great at showing prominences because it has a little wider field of view than the SDO does. And it also auto refreshes. We may have to actually stream this today on Twitch, because we may once again capture some incredible prominences when the coronal mass ejection occurs. We're also going to show you the latest colorized magnetogram and intensitygram. So beta class sunspot, alpha class sunspot, which is degrading, and major beta class sunspot, followed by additional sunspots. So there's 2908, it looks like. So yeah, the likelihood of solar flares goes way up. These are all beta class sunspots. That one might be alpha class. I'm not sure if that's going to be 2 groups or 1 group. But if that's 1 group there, that trailing bit, that's also going to be a beta class sunspot. Again, likelihood of solar flares goes way up as a result of this. And we'll close out the video with some full disk views in 171 and 304 angstroms, 2 of the favorite wavelengths at the Solar Dynamics Observatory. In any case, thanks for tuning in, folks. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists, and may that solar wind be at your back. Opinions expressed in this video, not necessarily the opinions of Smash News Network, least busted, name in news.